Now let's bring in Florida Congressman Byron Donalds, who is also, by the way, running for governor of the wonderful state of Florida. Great to see you, Congressman. Thank you for being here, and future governor, perhaps. You got the endorsement of Trump a long time ago, as a matter of fact. But let's first talk about growth. Is the issue of growth going to trump, forgive the expression, but is it going to trump the concerns that people have about affordability?
In part, I think the economic growth numbers under President Trump's leadership are phenomenal. This is one of the reasons why he's back in the White House. If you remember his first term, the first 3 years, the economy was going great, actually. It really hit a speed bump because of COVID-19.
Of course.
So we're back at it again. The policies are back. You're seeing the economic growth back. I think what's really going to matter in terms of the affordability issues in our country are wages adjusted for inflation. And if you look at the data the last couple of months, that is rising for working families in our country.
It is.
Very different from when the Democrats had complete control, when wages were decreasing when you adjust them for inflation. That means you're losing wealth. That means your money isn't going as far as it needs to. Donald Trump's economy, once again, is showing that wages are rising. You mix that with higher productivity, I think it's a recipe for success where the wealth effect will then be felt by the American people. I agree with Kevin Haslett's comments just before me. The Fed has every ability they need to do right now to cut rates again. They should have went to a 50 basis point rate cut instead of the tepid 25, but we are where we are. With this GDP report, other great economic news coming out, they should be able to make another cut again. That will help people with respect to affordability, whether it's mortgages, interest rates for cars, or anything else that we're talking about.
I mean, there's a huge wall to climb. We went from an average of $1,200 a month in payments for your house back in 2019, all the way up to $2,700. That's more than double in just 6 years. We haven't seen a jump like that for ever. I went back like 30 years. I couldn't see a jump that high in 6 years. So the disconnect between these great GDP numbers, the fact that energy prices have come down, at least in most states that rely on, I mean, you have these anomalies like California where oil gas prices are very high because of the state taxes. But gas prices are coming down, energy prices are coming down. How do you level the square for people who see good GDP numbers but don't feel it?
Look, I think that's all going to come out over the next couple of months when people go out and continue to buy gas, pay their light bills, get through the holiday season with their families. All these things are going to add up. And what it's going to present, my view, by first quarter next year is a healthy and growing economy under Donald Trump's leadership. And this is the reason why there was such angst in America from the Joe Biden years, because the economic recipe was a disaster. It was crushing working families. I was just out, doing some Christmas shopping. By the way, Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas.
And I drove by the local Costco. The gallon per gas down here in South Florida was $2.72 for regular, yep, $3.39 for premium. I can't remember the last time I saw gas prices look like that. And that's because of supply side policies, not just on the economy, but also in energy. And you put those two things together, working families are going to feel it in a strong way. Last piece is when they go file their taxes. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime. There were a lot of people in the country, I don't think were making major changes to their allowances for when they get their pay stub every 2 weeks. But when they go file their taxes, they're probably going to see higher refunds than they have in the past. All of this is going to help working families, independent voters, Republicans, Democrats, doesn't really matter your politics. It's going to help them feel that they have more wind in their personal sails to make ends meet or to do the next thing on their checklist that they want to get done for themselves and their families.
Although, you see some blue states, there are about 4 blue states, including New York, by the way, which are eliminating or taking away that no tax on tips, no tax on overtime bonus that Trump had been giving them, applying it to the state taxes. So it depends where you live. I do want to talk about Florida, though, because, of course, there you have zero state taxes, which is why a lot of people, perhaps like you, move there. But it's even in Florida, you get this affordability issue, and some people say it's what led to your new Democratic mayor of Miami.
No, I wouldn't go that far. I think Miami politics, the city of Miami, those are some intricate politics there. I wouldn't go that far. I think when it comes to affordability, this is the work that Governor DeSantis has really been spearheading to get under control. Our insurance rates have actually stabilized this year for the first time in a decade. That's really a kudos to him and the work the legislature did a couple of years ago. We're going through a political conversation about eliminating homestead property taxes. I
Yes.
support the governor in that regard. And so those things are going to continue to drive down the cost of living for Floridians. But to go back to your previous point you made, if you have Democrat politicians in blue states who do not want to have their citizens take advantage of the tax savings that Donald Trump has provided all the American people. This isn't partisan. It's not based on race. It's based for everybody. And if you have Democrat governors who want to take that away, that should be a window into the minds of where Democrats are.
Well,
They'd
exactly.
rather take your money than let you keep it for yourself. That's just un-American as far as I'm concerned.
And around Christmas time, I mean, these are Scrooges. They're Scrooges. They're putting coal in the stockings of Americans in their state. I mean, Governor Hochul has already indicated she's going to do it. I just have to ask you, though. Go ahead.
More like the Grinch. I don't know about Scrooge. More like the Grinch.
All right, more like the Grinch. Finally, you mentioned DeSantis as you're running to replace DeSantis as the next governor. Would you change any of his policies? You say you were with him on no property tax for people that live in Florida. Is there any issue that you would change that he instituted?
No. I mean, Governor DeSantis has done a tremendous job for our state. This is why so many people have chosen Florida over the last several years. We're going to build upon the successes. We're going to build upon the work that the governor has done. We still have a lot more work to do in our state. We have to continue to expand our economy. We have to be able to build the new roads that we need. We have to drive down the time it takes to permit housing in our state. These are the things that we're going to get done. But Florida's in a great position. We're going to actually build on top of the foundation that's being left by Governor DeSantis.
Very quickly, finally, I got to ask about the New Yorkers and other people from the Northeast that have been moving down there. A lot of Floridians I know were worried that they were going to bring some of their attitudes about politics with them. Has that happened at all, or have they assimilated to the Florida way of doing things?
Well, we had the same concerns during COVID-19 that people were leaving New York because they were being locked down, but they would bring their voting habits. What actually happened was the opposite. They came down and they chose republicanism. They chose common sense. They chose conservative policy. And so we anticipate that as people flee Zoran Mamdani in New York or Brandon Johnson in Chicago or the new nutty socialist out in Seattle or any other blue state, they're leaving those jurisdictions because Democrat policy has been disastrous for those states. I mean, look at California. More people are leaving California than going into it. There's a reason for that. It's because the Democrats don't have good policies. They don't know what they're talking about. And so that's why people leave, and they're going to come to Florida, and they'll continue to choose common sense conservative principles every single day.
The free state of Florida, as we used to say during the COVID pandemic. You should keep that in there, too. Congressman, safe travels on the campaign trail, and do have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody. Merry Christmas.